Welcome. I hope you enjoyed my impromptu intro, so to speak. Hi, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, where or whenever you may be. First of all, folks, it's hot. I mean, hot. Hot enough for me to already be turning into the red man, even though I have tried to avoid being on the sun, maximum protection sunscreen, all of it, drinking plenty of water, but still, my god, it's hot. It's hot enough to, I don't know. It's like the devil has lost his jockstrap somewhere over Europe. But, you know, hot is how it is, hot is how we have to live with it, and there is no point in keep trying to complain about the sun, complain about the hot, because we all know where it comes from. It comes from our dear friend global warming. And uh, sorry, just chewing some gums because I was a bit indisposed because I had something to eat right now and it didn't feel that good in an empty stomach. Now, allow me to continue. As I was saying, just getting rid of the gum, okay? No gum. As I was saying, our dear friend Mr. Global Warming has come out to play again, and we still have idiots and ignorants and bloody fools saying it's all a lie, it's all an illusion, and we should continue to pollute and be the assholes that we are. And it frankly really annoys me. It annoys me even more than that orange blob preaching middle age from across the pond. Okay, all of it really annoys me, and let me tell you something. I am very tired of the United States and the endless income of horrors. I'm tired of seeing them taking advantage of the world. I'm trying, really tired to see those idiots not just back up to their little corner where they are going to rot after all this shit is done, because the world is getting more and more annoyed. And if people saying, oh, you'll just forget about it, well, no, we will not, dear Americans. We will not forget about that. uh Hello, Billy Kershaw, welcome, my friend. As I was saying, we're annoyed, and this bloody heat is annoying me even more, because you see, I really don't enjoy it to having to have a fan on me whenever I'm at work, having a fan when I'm in my house. I really don't annoy this. I really don't enjoy this shit. I like it when it's cold, because when it's cold, if I'm cold, well, I put on a coat. All right, but if I'm hot, what the hell am I going to do? Go commando? Well, that's what I do. I can't do it right now. YouTube would cancel me, but you get my picture. Um, Hi Mel, welcome. Now, as I was saying, look, you have to find ways to deal with this. You have to drink plenty of water. Hi, hi Alistair, welcome, my friend. You have to drink plenty of water. You have to try and keep yourself in the shade. You look, do simple things like, for example, let me get you into a little trick. Vicks VapoRub, the things that you use when you have a bad cold and your lungs are filled with fluid or whatever, and you just put a little in your chest and it helps you to sleep better. This is one of the things that I have used since I was a kid, and it works. Well, you get some of this and you put it right here. You don't put it inside, you don't stick it up your nose, okay? But you get some, very little, and you spread it across your nose, and this uh, will help you to breathe a little better. Just don't overdo it, but it really helps. Now, but folks, Yesterday, I have to tell you this. I was coming back in my car, and conveniently, I don't have the AC loaded. So this means I have no AC in my car. But usually during summer, I just turn on the air of the car or open a window and it's all good. I will tell you this. Yesterday, it's what it was like riding through the goddamn Sahara. It was so hot. And then, like people have been saying all across Europe, the worst, it's not the heat, because the heat you can tolerate it. It's the damn, damn, damn uh, humidity. We have been getting so much humidity, it's not even funny. It's like the tropics around here. And around here in Portugal, we are used to warm weather, all right? It comes to summer, and we all know that we are going to suffer to the heat. The issue is with the humidity. On the other hand, it's good because this way we have fewer forest fires, so not everything is bad. But suffice to say, folks, it's bloody hot. Now, folks, I have a couple of videos to show you and to talk about. I will probably not talk about the orange blob because I'm effing tired of it. I'm tired of his country fair. I'm tired of his country fair going broke. If you don't know this, he organized some kind of a fair, and then the guy, no one came to the fair. When he started his speech, people went out, and the Ferris wheel, that was the only attraction that he had been able to put in there, didn't work. And right now they cancel it because they cited weather reasons. But the truth is because no one was coming. People, I think in the United States, are seeing the writing on the wall. And the writing on the wall is that that orange blob is going to go away sooner or later. And if he doesn't go away, he's going to be more and more ignored. His entire movement is breaking down. But let me tell you this, my friends, all of us fellow Europeans, pardon me. Let's not forget that who elected him and who supported him will still be there long after he cankles his way out of this world. You cannot forget that those people allowed that creature to get into power, him and his buddies. You cannot forget all those oligarchs with their fucking data centers, I hate the bloody sayings, sticking them everywhere, consuming our water, consuming our resources, so that some idiot can make some AI picture and save money on the money that he was going to have to pay to some artist to do it, or to have the ingenuity of creating better software to do it. It annoys me double because we don't need those things. People say, oh, but we need to improve and this and that. No, we don't need those bloody things. We can find solutions, and we can build AI data centers in a smarter way. The reason they are building them this way, it's because they are only thinking of bloody profit. They are poisoning our bloody country, our bloody country, our bloody world, to have those little shits gaining some more money. And let me tell you this. If this starts to spread to Europe, you are going to see data centers burning up. Because around here, we are not going to take this shit. We are not Americans. This is something people need to understand. Data centers are only this way, not because of the technical issues behind it, it's a part of it, but because of the profit mindset that is behind it. And we all should know this, and we all should recognize it, and we bloody hell should do something about it, and not just sit by and use AI for everything. We need to use AI as a tool, not as a purpose. But this is going to get its own video. Now, as you can see, I'm a bit agitated. It's because of the heat. So let's watch a video. And now I'm going to talk with you. I'm going to show you a video that's going to talk about bananas, containers, and cocaine. Yes. Let's watch this. This video is in the European Commission. Links will be in the description. Let's watch.
More than 6,500 arrests, over 100 tons of cocaine intercepted, nearly 900 million euros seized, all linked to a Europol-led investigation into a single encrypted phone network, EncroChat. And what they found changed everything. Organized crime doesn't stop at borders, and neither can the response. In this video, we look at the EU strategy against drugs.
Ons land is heel populair als doorvoerland, omdat wij een uitgebreide logistieke infrastructuur hebben met zeehavens, luchthavens, autowegen, spoorwegen en zo verder. En een van die belangrijkste logistieke hubs, dat is de Antwerpse haven. Antwerpse haven die wordt vandaag misbruikt ook voor illegale drughandel. En dan voornamelijk cocaïne, die komt vanuit Latijns-Amerikaanse landen richting Antwerpen.
Every year, millions of shipments pass through European ports, and traffickers exploit exactly that. A large share of cocaine enters Europe through shipping containers, most of the time hidden in ordinary goods, like bananas, because they are fast-moving, perishable, less likely to be checked.
Containers die komen van Latijns-Amerika, die worden onderworpen aan een risicoanalyse en hoogrisicocontainers gaan wij scannen. Elke Mobix die hier rondrijdt, 60% daarvan is betaald door de Europese Unie. We stellen toch wel vast dat dat zijn effect gehad heeft.
Every interception means lost profits for criminal networks, disrupted supply chains, and new intelligence for investigators. The goal is not just to seize drugs, it is to disrupt the business model of organized crime. Traffickers don't rely on just one route. When pressure increases in one port, they move to another port, to another city, to another country. This is where the European response becomes critical. Criminal networks operate across borders, so the response must operate across borders too. Through Europol, investigators from different countries can combine intelligence, track the same network across multiple jurisdictions, and coordinate simultaneous operations. That means criminal groups can no longer rely on national borders to protect them. Instead of isolated arrests and seizures, authorities can dismantle entire networks operating across Europe. At the same time, the EU also coordinates with Latin American authorities to disrupt trafficking routes before shipments even reach European ports. But there's another angle. Not all drugs come into Europe. More and more are produced inside Europe. Synthetic drug labs can be hidden in ordinary buildings, and they are harder to detect. But the EU is adapting, not only by stopping drugs, but by stopping the chemicals used to make them. New rules now target the substances criminals use to bypass controls. And since 2025, the EU Drugs Agency has taken on a stronger role, tracking these substances across Europe. Drug trafficking fuels organized crime, violence, corruption and money laundering in Europe.
Dus die drughandel is niet enkel een probleem van politie, douane en justitie. Het is ook echt wel een maatschappelijk probleem. Geweld, wapenhandel, corruptie, witwassen, onveiligheidsgevoelens die stijgen. Dat betekent dat we gaan inzetten op preventie, op sensibiliseren.
But there's another part of the system that often gets missed: demand. As long as people are buying drugs, the system keeps going. In Europe, around 7,500 people die every year from drug overdose. That's why the EU also works on what happens after drugs enter the market: prevention, treatment, and harm reduction. Things like support services and medicines such as naloxone, which can reverse an overdose in minutes. Because tackling drug trafficking isn't only about stopping supply, it's about reducing demand and reducing harm where it already exists. When you put it all together, drug trafficking in Europe isn't just one problem. It's a system. It's a network, which means no country can tackle it alone. That is why the EU response operates on multiple fronts at the same time, intercepting drugs before they reach the market, targeting the criminal networks behind them, shutting down illegal production, tracking the chemicals used to manufacture drugs, and helping prevent the harm these drugs cause in our communities. Because organized crime is adapting, and Europe's response has to adapt too. If you found this useful, subscribe for more explainers and let us know what topic we should break down next.
Now, folks, the reason why I show you this video is to make a point. And the point I'm trying to make is that we are doing something about it. Now, Billy has said here in the chat, and I understand what you are trying to say, waste of time. But the key here is not that, because you see, it's not just stopping the drugs, because stopping the drugs won't stop the problem that we have people that buy them, that want them, and that sometimes even need them. You have to have policies, like for example, we have here in Portugal, where you simultaneously attack, let's call it like this, tackle the issue of the people that are selling these drugs, and also you try to do something about the people that take those drugs. This is why here, if you have yourselves, I don't know, a joint or a marijuana cigar or something like that, no one is going to arrest you for that. And you can even smoke it as long as you are not doing it near a school or something like that, or you are not, for example, driving after using it. This is how we do it here, and there are some places that are authorized to sell them. The issue here is with the hard drugs, and the hard drugs are used for a lot of things. They are used in human trafficking. They use it, for example, and this is very sad, but they do it. They use it to make people to be addicted to those drugs and then force them to sell themselves in the street. And I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking about both women and men. But usually it happens more to women. And you have this issue where you have people that are using these drugs, and we still have some hard drug consumption. But the mechanisms that are developed behind, like for example, forcing someone to go into mandatory treatment if they are caught consuming hard drugs, and giving harsher penalties to people that are selling these drugs, it helps. But you got to understand that this is all over Europe, and each country has a different policy on the matter. For example, you cannot buy buy some weed in a dispenser here and then cross the border and go smoke it in Spain. But the truth is you can. If you are not caught, no one is going to tell you anything because they will not know. But the truth is each country has their own policies, and each country has to coordinate their response to the problem in a different way because they have different societies. You have large metropolis in northern and central Europe. You also have Madrid right here next door. It's also big. Barcelona, and these are places where you have a lot of people that consume a lot of drugs. Here in Portugal, you also have it. Okay, Lisbon, the region, in Lisbon, for example, the neighborhood called Bairro Alto, where all the bars and all of that is famous for it. High drug consumption and all of that. People still consume it. People still use it. But the real reason why I show you this video was to show you how the EU can gather the resources of all countries to protect themselves. We are not just protecting Portugal or Spain or France or Germany or the Netherlands or Belgium. Let's just quote a few, okay? This is a collective effort. This means that, for example, the taxpayers' money of all of these countries is used in a common goal to defend our borders. And we know what is happening in the British borders. And this is very scary. At least I would be if I was in the United Kingdom. Because every time the UK diminishes the, let's call it, the keeping an eye out in the borders, who knows what is coming in. I know for a fact, because I know people that work in it, and there is a major harbor in the town where I work. Not going to say it. They even have detectors of radiation in the harbor, funded by the EU, to scan certain ships that might bring in radioactive material that can be used in a terrorist attack. This is an example. They also have a policy that is like this. Many of the times, they let the first shipment of drugs come in, and then they tag it. And they go and see where that container goes. Recently, not that long ago, I saw how they caught a lot of drugs in France, I think it was in Marseille, but the drugs did not come from the French ports. No, it was shipped right here in Portugal, but they knew where it was going. Then it was transported like it was transporting fresh fruit from South America. It crossed Spain. They drop off that cargo of the fruit in Spain, and then the truck continued to the headquarters of the company in Marseille. And there they caught them when they were trying to sell the drugs. But they let the first shipment in, because this way they can know how they are doing it, who is being a part of it, and even police officers and other authorities, they were caught in the net. Here in Portugal, in Spain, and in France. This is usually how they do it. And then there are the random examinations that they do, and as that police officer was telling, they do cycle amongst the harbors. You have two major deep water harbors in Portugal. You have around at least, I think it's 3 or 4 in northern Spain, and you have a couple of more in the Mediterranean area, which is an entirely different problem altogether. But what I'm trying to tell you is this. This is a type of mechanism that if the UK wanted, they could still be a part of Europol. I mean, there is still some cooperation, but there is no coordination. And this is very important, because we are not just talking about the security of England, we're talking about the security of England, of Wales, of Scotland, and of Northern Ireland. And we all know who voted for Brexit. But there are some things that the UK should have kept, like the judicial and police cooperation. That now is something, it happens sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, for example, if Europol detects a criminal organization that is working both in Europe and in the United Kingdom, of course they are going to tell the UK authorities, and vice versa. There is no doubt about it. But there is not that coordination that exists. For example, I'll give you this example, between Portugal and Spain, where we protect our borders. We protect our sea borders, we protect our air borders, we protect our borders with France, for example. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? There is this coordination. And without that, without that, you would not have events like the one that what I'm going to show you. Exactly, Microsoft. Exactly what I said. I'm going to show you now this video. It's a very interesting one. You might have seen it in the news because it was all over the place. Let's watch this.
Warship, I request your vessel's name. Over.
Zéro là-bas.
You want to know what this is? This is the moment when the French Navy and Army, it's their Marines, let's call it like this. This is the moment when their Marines intercepted a Russian Shadow Fleet ship. But the funny thing is that you didn't see the news here in Portugal like I did. And I know that the Portuguese Navy, they were the first ones to de facto detect that ship. And they were the first ones to tell other European countries. And then it was all coordinated. As far as I know, our Navy followed the movement of that ship until it was appropriated for them not to do it. And we are a small country, but we also have half a dozen subs, all right, and some frigates and some drones and all of that that a proper army should have, and a navy. And then this operation happened. This is what I'm trying to tell you, and this is why I chose to speak about this in this stream with you. This is what what I'm trying to tell you with coordination. Everyone is a part of it. Everyone coordinates things, and sometimes you don't even know all that is behind it. To contact the Bean Podcast Network. All right. When I'm ready, I will do it, Viber Scott. All right. Let me just get a bit more of a hand of this. I have been trying to get my game up a bit better. When I'm prepared, you have my promise, I will do that. All right. Now, I show you the video of the interception itself. Now I'm going to show you what Emmanuel Macron said about it. He is going now to tell you what happened. Let's watch.
French forces intercepted a Russian Shadow Fleet oil tanker earlier this week, French President Emmanuel Macron said on Thursday. In a post on social media, Macron said the Navy intercepted the vessel known as Deliver as it was sailing off the coast of Sicily, quote, in violation of maritime law. Macron shared video footage appearing to show troops boarding and searching the ship.
This is French warship. I request your vessel's name. Over.
Yes, station. My vessel name is Deliver, man.
According to Ukraine's main Directorate of Intelligence, Deliver is a Cameroonian-flagged vessel that has been involved in the export of Russian oil since 2024, operating mainly out of ports in the Baltic and Black Sea. The latest interception comes after the UK announced earlier this month that it had intercepted and boarded the Russian Shadow Fleet tanker Simitos in the English Channel. Russia uses its shadow fleets to evade Western sanctions on its energy industry, which prevents Moscow from chartering or insuring oil tankers unless it complies with certain restrictions.
Now, this ship is just one of many. Let me just answer this question. Had it been renamed and reflect to Russia? Billy, what probably happened to this ship is that it is going to be led into a port, seized, and they are going to do something about the oil because they cannot. I don't know if it was filled or not, but the ship is going to be. It's going to be seized. Okay, according to French law, it's going to be immobilized. The crew is going to be screened. If they cannot charge them with anything, they are going to deport them back to their country. And as Alistair said here, they transport Russian oil, but they just use another country's flag, because you can purchase. You can register it. The best term is this: you have a ship, okay, and you want to register that ship. So, for example, you register your ship here in Portugal. From now on, that ship has a Portuguese flag. The company that holds that ship has to pay the insurance. It has to pay the taxes and all of that right here in Portugal. But the crew might not even be Portuguese. You have Portuguese ships in the same situation, okay? It's normal. And what the Shadow Fleet does is use this small gap in the law to illegally carry Russian oil and sell it in the market. And what the EU is now doing, okay, the EU is now investigating, targeting, and freezing, and they were blocking them from entering in European ports. And right now, they are starting to seize them. This is just the first ship of many others, okay? This is nothing new. And they are also going to start to do it with the so-called scientific ships or whatever. Because, you know, in international waters or even in national waters, you cannot block ships to pass by. Because or else you would be doing the same thing that is happening right now in the Straits of Hormuz, where you have international waters, you have Iranian waters, you have Omani waters, and because of all of that, yes, indeed, Akmel, cruise ships have done it for ages. Yes, very well, very correct. And let me see. No, I haven't got any more videos about it. No need for videos. I have it all here in my mind. Now, Russia is using the Shadow Fleet for two purposes. One, it is to dodge the sanctions and be able to continue to sell their oil to a market price and not at the price that was kept by the sanctions. And two, this is the worst one of that, in my opinion, they can also use those ships to say they are transporting oil, and they might be transporting something else. They might be transporting tools to cut underwater cables. They might be transporting people that might disembark in ports and commit acts of terrorism. We don't know what they are doing because it's completely off the grid. Because when you have a ship, you know exactly where that ship sails from and goes to. It has a transponder which is kind of like a beeping. It beeps where that ship is, and you can do it this way. And let me tell you, it's not just Russia that has these shadow fleets. In one way or another, when a country wants to, let's call it this way, to sail around without anyone noticing them, they use shadow fleets. They register a ship in another country, and then they use that ship for a lot of things. They use them for spying, for doing what Russia is doing, for a lot of things. Like Viper Scott is seeing right here in the chat, the Chinese have also a shadow fleet. Yes, he's right. But it's not just the Chinese, okay? There are Western countries that have them. Even Japan, because of their nasty habit of continuing to target whales, even though most of other countries just stopped doing it, they had a shadow fleet for that purpose alone. So don't think about this as something that is, excuse me, that is just something that countries like Russia use, because that is not true. Now, folks, now I'm going to share with you some very good news, and this is about Ukraine and what the EU has just done. Let's watch.
Good morning, it's Friday, the 26th of June. You're watching Euronews, and this is Europe Today. Welcome to the program, I'm Stefan Grobe. Coming up, solidarity with Ukraine. The country has received 3.2 billion euros as the first disbursement under the European Union's 90 billion euro support loan. That was announced by EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen at the Ukraine Recovery Conference in Gdansk. The announcement marks a turning point in a 6-month political struggle to get the loan off the ground. We'll have Euronews editor Maria Tadeo reporting from Gdansk. Conflicting messages. The head of the United Nations Nuclear Agency signaled that Iranian nuclear enrichment sites would be visited by their inspectors, a key component in the interim deal between Washington and Tehran. But an Iranian diplomat promptly rejected this, saying such a visit can only come after a final deal, a denial that highlighted the precariousness of the ongoing talks. We'll speak to a former Iranian negotiator. Catastrophe in Venezuela. Following the devastating earthquakes in that South American country, the international community has mobilized to provide urgent humanitarian assistance. Countries from the Western Hemisphere, the European Union, and even China offered help after 2 major earthquakes struck west of Caracas. The number of victims is still unclear, but could reach hundreds, if not more. We'll get an update from the EU Commissioner for Humanitarian Aid and Crisis Management, Hadja Labib. And what happened at the World Cup last night. I'll fill you in. But first, the Ukraine Recovery Conference.
Folks, just saying something. I am just going to show you the part about the Ukraine, okay? We are not going to watch the entire 20 minutes video. It's just saying, okay? Let's continue.
Widely viewed as Europe's biggest reconstruction project since World War II, Kiev expects to sign agreements worth more than 1.5 billion euros during the conference, with deals expected to include projects in housing, infrastructure, and regional recovery efforts. Needs are estimated at hundreds of billions of euro and span virtually every sector of the economy, from energy and transportation to defense manufacturing, industrial production, digitalization, and urban redevelopment. Euronews editor Maria Tadeo is in Gdansk and sends this report.
Well, yes, Stefan, good morning. And we're here in Poland for the second day of the Ukraine Reconstruction Conference. This is a conference that's been running now for a number of years, but in 2022 fundamentally changed, and it became very much a business conference about the reconstruction and the future business opportunities in Ukraine. The goal of this conference is to bring together investors, foreign capital, and get them to put money in Ukraine. This year, however, far from being just a business conference, has been totally eclipsed by the politics and that diplomatic spat between Poland and Ukraine. Just days before the conference started, the Polish President Nawrocki took away a medal from President Zelensky, the highest order of merit from Poland, after a military unit in Ukraine was renamed the Ukrainian Insurgent Army. For the Polish President Nawrocki, he said this was an insult, and he had damaged and hurt the memory from the Second World War of many Poles who were killed by this particular unit. The president of Ukraine then responded back, saying that this has nothing to do with the Polish people, also said that many other units had been renamed in this war, and suggested that it's being weaponized for political reasons in Poland, looking into an election next year. That meant that yesterday, Volodymyr Zelensky did not participate in this conference. He skipped the opening ceremony. There was, however, a delegation led by the Prime Minister of Ukraine. In the meantime, the Prime Minister of this country, Donald Tusk, trying to pacify both sides, saying that this is really now the moment for both Poland and Ukraine to respect each other and be mutually respectful. Nonetheless, beyond the politics, there were announcements. The European Union announced that it will now pay off about 3 billion euros from the 90 billion euro loan that Ukraine should receive from EU member states. And the United Kingdom also announced a package of 290 million pounds, mostly focused on the energy sector. And to that point, I spoke with David Lammy, the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and I asked him about the future relationship of the UK with the European Union when it comes to security, defense, G7, and the upcoming NATO meeting. Let's take a look. David Lammy, thank you so much for joining us on Euronews. Today, the UK is announcing a financial contribution to Ukraine, 290 million. Why make this announcement now? Is it a reflection that you believe dynamics on the battlefield are changing and Ukraine can still win it?
As you know, the United Kingdom has stood with Ukraine right from the beginning, and we pledged some time ago that for every year this war continues, we will be with Ukraine politically, economically, and militarily. Our announcement today, of course, comes on the back of successes on the battlefield, a strong and good G7, which was a strong statement from the United States as well as European partners on the situation, and a desire to support Ukraine until we get that peace.
And, sir, you mentioned the G7. There was a statement with language that objectively was much stronger than a lot of people believe would end up in the declaration. And there's also a form of unanimity now with the United States seemingly also endorsing the language. Do you get a sense that both the UK and the Europeans, you've managed to sway the US president, and now he agrees with you? Ukraine is in better shape than it seemed at the start of the year.
I think we'll see in NATO in the coming weeks that the United States is seeing Europeans step up in terms of our commitments to defense and to spend across Europe. I think we must recognize the progress that we're seeing from Ukraine on the battlefield. We also see in Russia recession beginning to bite, a huge casualty loss now of soldiers, well over 1 million dying. And so I think we also recognize that this is the moment to keep Ukraine in the fight, to increase our our suppression, if you like, of what the Russians are doing and to support Ukraine to the very end.
And you have one of the best intelligence services in the world, so you would know what those raids on the ground look like. But I have to ask you on the sanctions front, because that was also meaningful coming out of the G7, the idea that sanctions would get tighter. There was a concern because of the energy crisis that there could be relief on Russian energy. Is that changing? Are you making plans to really go rough again on the sanctions with the rest of the G7?
We're really clear. We have ramped up our sanctions. You saw also the interdiction from the UK of the Russian shadow fleet just a few weeks ago. Our sixth package of sanctions, more to come. I was very clear when I was Foreign Secretary that we would continue to bear down on Russian aggression, Russian money, dirty money that's financing this war. And we're really pleased that our European partners continue to do that as well. And we have also seen, I think, since the elections in Hungary, a more united front right across Europe.
Certainly on the sanctions. You mentioned NATO. The summit is really around the corner. Can you carry that momentum into Ankara, or do you worry there's a scenario too in which the president will say, you didn't really help in Iran, I'm not going to help any further?
I think that we will see that momentum into Ankara. And look, I think it is important to recognize that European bases were being used, certainly here in Poland, in Germany, in the United Kingdom, to support efforts in the Strait of Hormuz. We've had the Coalition of the Willing as well, that the UK and France have sponsored once the war is fully over and we've seen demining in the Strait of Hormuz. So I think for all of those reasons, I expect to see a successful NATO conference.
So you don't see possible backlash. And just a final question. Of course, the UK is now in a moment of transition politically. There will be a new prime minister. Is there a concern, or was there a message that you gave to your European and Ukrainian allies that the fundamentals of foreign policy of the United Kingdom will not change when it comes to security, when it comes to Ukraine?
There's absolutely no question of a change in foreign policy. We have remained committed to Ukraine through successive governments, and that will continue. And we have been absolutely clear, reconnected with the global community, a European reset, all of that continues despite...
There's no rupture. That was your message.
Rupture is not a word that's ever been... I think that was used by the Canadians. It's certainly not been used by the UK.
So you will maintain that line. David Lammy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Maria Tadeo there reporting from Gdansk. Thank you very much.
Now, folks, I will stop here. This is called Europe Today. It's a program in Euronews, and it's usually a more complete version of the news in Euronews, which are usually quite small and very concentrated. You have a presenter. It's one of their programs. They have a lot of them. There are some that I like. Excuse me. I'm sorry, but the heat is getting to me. As I was saying, they have a lot of programs. This is a more extensive one. Anyway, I am going to leave a link of this video so you can watch it fully in your own time. Relaxing with something fresh or something like that, and see the complete news report. Now, I just wanted to point out this. When it comes to Ukraine and the defense against Russia, whatever the issues that exist, Europe, the EU, and the UK are still supporting Ukraine. As I said in the chat, this is very important. This is something that is going to be in the future. And this is something that all British citizens of the Union can be proud of. You can be proud of saying that, just like I am proud of my country, to say this. My country stood with Ukraine, and we did not give up on them. Now, you cannot be proud at the rhetoric that Mr. Lamy then started to talk about the importance of the bases supporting the shit in the streets of Hormuz and all that crap, because he is polishing Trump's turd. I know I said ego, but I'm sorry. You know I sometimes swear. This guy is still saying this shit. What is happening in the Straits of Hormuz is unforgivable. What is happening in the Straits of Hormuz is a crime against the entire world. It's the result of a baby toddler, man-child, deranged, lunatic, criminal, sex offender, orange blob that decided it was a good idea to attack Iran. Him and his little friend in Israel that is getting his kicks out, committing crimes against humanity in Palestine and now in Lebanon. He even tries to bring in the coalition of the willing into this. Let me repeat this again. The coalition of the willing is just there, better yet, will be there after the war ends. To do what? To help ships pass by, to demine any areas that are demined, to keep some kind of peace. That is the objective of the coalition of the willing. It has nothing to do with the shit the Americans are doing. We want them to get the fuck out. You lost. Get out. You cannot invade the country and conquer it. You cannot submit it, stop it, leave. You should have known this because, number one, it's not economically viable. Number two, it's not even military viable. How are you going to destroy all the bunkers that these lunatics, because Iran, they are now no better, okay? You know how they treat women, how they treat their own citizens. They are no better. I'm not making them these heroes. They're not heroes. They are Shiites. They are martyrs. You know what this means? It means they are just like the lunatic Christians, the zealots. If they die for their Lord, they will be saved and sent to heaven. This is what these people believe in, and don't you ever come into my comment section saying I'm excusing Iran or whatever, because I'm not. But one thing is certain. They were in their corner. They were in their corner of the world. They were accepting the inspections of the nuclear energy agencies, all of that. So there was absolutely no reason to do this except Israel and Donald Trump, let's call it as it is, Benny Netanyahu and Donald Trump decided to do this shit. Because they believed this would be a quick thing and that they could stop it all at once and profit millions of oil. Billions, let's say it. And what happened? Exactly the reverse. What happened is what? All military experts told what would happen. Iran would find a way to block the Hormuz Straits and fuck up the entire world. And all of us that go into the gas pump to pump gas, especially here in Europe, we know how much it has increased, how much energy is increasing, how much everything is increasing. Because even if we don't get oil from that region, my country doesn't get oil from that region. Portugal and Spain, we get it from Algeria. We used to get some from Venezuela. We also get some from Nigeria. We also get some from the United States and Canada. But dumb people don't understand that oil and gas are world commodities. Meaning, if it lacks in one side, even if you have plenty, it is going to increase the price to you. Just like what is happening to the Americans too. Their gas and their diesel is increasing. And it will continue to increase. Unless this is solved. And even so, we are going to be at least 1 year optimistic ideas of the experts. We are going to be 1 year in this shit of constant increases. This is not going to go away even if tomorrow the demonstrations are open. Sorry. Now, as Alistair is also saying here, Lamy was polishing Donald Trump's ego. And you got to know that this is going to annoy the French and the Germans. This is not productive. Why the hell do British politicians still do this? Do you think you have a special relationship with the United States? The United States only has a special relationship with one country, Israel. And no, don't waste your time calling me an anti-Semite. Go watch my videos and you will see my position. That's the only country with which the United States has a special relationship. American taxpayers are paying for IDF soldiers' pensions and salaries. And the rest of the world, the entire bloody world knows it. All except the American taxpayer. At least most of them. Yes. Folks, if you are watching this after the stream is over, watch the chat. Pop up the little box and watch what people are writing here, because they know what is happening. Alistair is saying right here, protests in Iran. Trump thought it would change the government. Bibi egged them in to do it, but it just united Iran. Exactly. What do you want? Do you think people are going to protest against the government when you are all being attacked? When a school filled with girls, filled with children, is double tapped. First, they destroyed the bloody school, killed the children, and then when the rescue people were inside of the wreckage, trying to save as many people as they could, they double tap it again. And you cannot stand here and tell me this was not on purpose. I'm not saying it was the soldiers that were following orders. Even if I would question it, I would refuse to do such a thing. Even if they arrest me or did whatever they wanted to do. But the person that ordered this to happen is a war criminal. And this is why we are in this shit. Because of a dumb idiot with a lot of issues. And let's talk about something else. Now, I'm going to show you another video. Okay, I still also have another video from the European Commission, but for now, let's watch this video. Let's go back to our favorite subject of the week, the bloody heat. Let's watch this one.
The extreme heat that is baking Europe these days is melting national records. France and Belgium endured their hottest day since records began. Britain and Spain hit new records for any day in June. Experts speak about a heat dome-driven furnace for the second time in 2 months. Now, heat domes are persistent high-pressure systems which act like a lid on a pot, trapping hot air and pushing it downward. How do people cope with the sweltering heat? Adnan Leal braced the temperatures and looked around in Brussels.
Extreme heat has placed parts of Belgium on red alert.
It's too much warm.
With temperatures reaching up to 40 degrees. Are you prepared to survive 40 degrees? In Brussels, the alert is at the second highest level, and schools are adapting their activities to cope with the heat wave. But how are people outside coping with it?
I bought myself a lighter clothes.
And then the trees, and then we have the fan, very nice.
Drinking a lot of water.
Experts say taking small precautions can already make a big difference.
Heat-related mortality has gone up 30% in the last 20 years in Europe. We can reduce that mortality by developing habits and actions at the personal international level, there is a clear need to develop strategies to cope with these extremes. They have the potential two pillars. Temperature are going up and we continue to go up, even if we were to stop emission tomorrow, which we are not. Records breaking shouldn't be a breaking news because in a sense it's a natural consequence of the fact that the world is warming up.
Well, folks, the last sentence the gentleman from the Copernicus Observatory said is the harsh truth we have to get used to dealing with. This is not going to go away. Imagine tomorrow all of the world would hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and stop polluting. Stop the emission of gases. It would not matter anything. It would be nice, but it would only create any kind of detectable effects after perhaps 1 or 2 generations. Meaning, after every one of us that is right here, right now, talking and seeing each other die. This is a harsh truth, but people need to understand this. This is not going to go away. And as I have told you in other videos before, the issue with global warming, it's not just beachfront properties in London. You understand? It's not just that. It's not just a bit more warmer summers or not so cold winters and no snow and whatever. No. It's the extreme effects of this. Because we see extreme effects. Scientists see the planet adapting. And I briefly talked about this in another video, and I decided to talk a bit more about it right now. There are some scientists that even say that this excess heat that is happening right now and that happened in the past I will give you this example. When the Siberian volcanoes erupted, and it was a virtual sea of lava, and that sent massive doses of of greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, and it warmed up the world to an extreme also. The planet suddenly cooled down. It's a natural phenomena. If you don't know this, in the past, the Earth, for different reasons, but in the past, the Earth was completely enveloped in ice. Even in the equator, everywhere. The planet was reduced to a ball of ice. I'm not saying this can happen in the future. It can. Who knows? I'm not a seer, and I don't claim to know all of these things. But the issue here is that some scientists are also talking about. Okay. Some scientists are also talking about this effect, and when we say this, we say other things, because you know it's very funny. It's very funny how we have all of this science, we have all of this civilization, and there are some things we cannot predict, and we are basically prisoners to our own planet. Some people say, "Oh, we can build a spaceship and go out." No. We are not at that point. We don't have any inhabitable planets in the neighborhood. We have nothing. This is what we have. And we are going to, all of us are going to have to get used to these extreme events. We are going to have extreme events in the winter time with, I don't know, freak snowfall, snowstorms, heat waves, droughts, fires, all of it, we are going to get used to it. Because we either get used to it or we get extinct. And to tell you the truth, I don't even know if we are able as a species to cope with this. Because we are remarkably sensible, let's call it like this, to global events like this. These global events can cause hunger, they can cause disease, they can cause a number of things that we might not be ready to cope with. It's also a way of the planet to, if we are too many, if we are apex predators that are expanding in numbers too much, nature itself, our own biology, it's going to find a way to control us. And as Viper Scott is saying here in the chat, one angry pagan, if he's lurking, is always welcome in my chat. I appreciate his opinions. Okay? You can tell him that. Now, folks, let me see. I have a couple of more videos for you. Now, I have been extra careful with my little kitty, or at least I've been trying to. I make sure to have plenty of water for her, to leave her alone when she's resting during the day because of the heat and all of that. And I think if you have pets, please be careful with them, okay? Take care of your little ones, because if you are like me and you think they're like family, then we have to treat them like family. Folks, let's watch this video.
C'est parce que c'est le stress thermique. Et aussi un peu.
Okay.
D'accord. Donc il faut s'imaginer un être humain qui ne transpire pas. Mais c'est vrai. C'est parce que c'est le stress thermique. Et aussi un peu.
Okay.
D'accord. Donc il faut s'imaginer un être humain qui ne transpire pas. Mais c'est vrai que si ça. Il n'aime pas les soins, mais.
Mais oui, c'est ça, on peut pas lui montrer que c'est pour son bien.
Le lit, il faut lever le matelas pour pas qu'elle soit sous la chaleur du. Là, si on n'était pas intervenu et qu'on n'avait pas expliqué à la dame la prévention qu'il fallait faire sur ce type de chat, il était fort probable que demain, dans les 24 prochaines heures, sa température continue d'augmenter, son effort respiratoire continue d'augmenter et qu'il y ait des complications.
Tentez votre chance et répondez à la question suivante. À quel montant ces objets ont-ils été évalués? Réponse A, 1600 €.
À l'examen, j'ai pu observer qu'il y avait une légère hyperthermie qui est sans doute liée à la chaleur. J'ai pu remarquer également qu'il y avait une forte anémie. J'ai pu le vérifier aussi avec un examen sanguin qui montrait vraiment une forte anémie et une douleur abdominale très intense. Tout ceci m'emmène à penser qu'on a sans doute soit un phénomène tumoral avec une hémorragie de masse dans l'abdomen, soit on a une défaillance multiviscérale due au coup de chaleur d'hier.
Urgence vétérinaire, bonjour. Oui.
Right, folks, sorry about this little confusion with the subtitles, but I sometimes I forget about I forget about all of this. All of the subtitles, sometimes they're talking in English, other times they're talking in French, and me personally, I just watch it without the subtitles, but of course I understand some other people need the bloody subtitles to understand what is going on. Now, folks, it's important to try to take care of our pets, and I know it's hard because sometimes but sometimes you know, you have to be careful with your pets. Talking about pets, we also have to talk about ourselves, humans. If you have small children, force them to drink water. This is something that growing up in a warm summer country, even today, this big lump of a man, I still get the same saying from my mother: drink a lot of water. Remember to drink water. Have you drunk water today? Make sure to keep yourself hydrated. Drink a lot of water. It's very warm. You know, you're very sensible to the heat, and I am, okay? And she's right. That is why, you know, I'm not an American, but I always have some water with me, at least during summer, because you want to know something? I forget to drink. And drinking beer is not the solution. All right? In warmer weather, you should be careful with drinking beer because it actually dehydrates you a bit. To rehydrate yourselves, you need to drink a lot of water. All right? Now, let me see what you guys are reading. Yes, indeed, Dark Matter. Now, it's very important. People should be careful about their animals. Now, and folks, talking about this, if you are older or if you have older people with you, also be very careful, because sometimes older people don't have they don't say anything, or they don't want to say anything, and sometimes you might even need to take them to the hospital. Okay, it's no shame. I myself, much younger than I am today, in my mid-40s, I think, I had to be taken to the hospital because because I had heat stroke, literally. I was feeling fine. You know, I went to the beach in the early morning, no sun exposure or whatever, and then I came home. You know, I had a shower, I had my lunch, and afterwards, during the afternoon, I started to feel really bad. You know, I started to feel completely disoriented. I started to feel pain all over my body, and I had to be rushed to the hospital to be hydrated. You know, and I was sitting down with with some salines and whatever to get rehydrate. Sorry, this was sometimes some words are hard for me. Electrolytes, yes, very important. Electrolytes. Sometimes one of those sports drink, it's good for in certain aspects, okay, but you should not abuse of it, because you know sometimes they have other stuff that you really don't need, like a caffeine and other shit like that. But that's another story. Now, folks, I'm going to talk about something that has affected directly my country, and this is about the earthquake in Venezuela. So far to this moment, at least this morning when I watched the news, 28 persons with Portuguese nationality had died in the earthquake. There are a lot of Portuguese people living in Venezuela. When all of this confusion with Maduro started, almost 100,000 returned back home. Most of them came to the Madeira Island, where most of those people come from, really. Others came to continental Portugal, and some also went elsewhere in Europe because of the entire confusion with the Maduro regime and the wars and all of that crap. But still, to this day, I don't have the exact figures here right now, and I'm not going to Google them because I'm not the person that does that. But there are surely many thousands of Portuguese citizens in Venezuela. A lot of them own supermarkets. A lot of them are teachers. A lot of people are just common folk that live in Venezuela, because if you want to know something, it was a country where you could actually live decently up until a decade or two ago. It was not a very unsafe country. It had a lot of places where you could live and make a living. But this is hard. I know Portugal has already sent aid to help them. I know our consulate has been in contact with a lot of Portuguese citizens. I know a few have been repatriated, meaning they have been brought back to Portugal. And it's a very sad situation, because they were just getting their footing after the entire shit that the United States has been doing in the country, and now they have this. And in my words, it's in my opinion, sorry, they don't deserve this. Okay, no one deserves this. Let's watch a couple of videos that I have about this, and then we can talk about it.
The death toll in Venezuela's twin quakes on Wednesday night has risen to 589, according to the country's health minister, who added that more than 4,300 others have also been injured. Search and rescue efforts are continuing in the worst affected regions, including La Guaira, just north of the capital Caracas. A 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes struck in quick succession, just minutes apart, according to the US Geological Survey, marking the country's worst natural disaster in over a century. Thousands are still reported missing, and officials warn the death toll may continue to rise in the coming days. The government, headed by acting President Delcy Rodriguez, has issued evacuation notices to thousands of residences in affected regions, which span all the way to Brazil's Amazon. Rodriguez says her cabinet is mobilizing all available resources to help those most vulnerable, and pleaded for more assistance from the country's private sector as well as neighboring nations. Mexico, Chile, Ecuador and El Salvador were among the countries that have dispatched aid and sent rescue teams to assist in such efforts. The United States, which seized then-President Nicolás Maduro in a stunning military operation earlier this year, has waived some of its sanctions on the country until the 23rd of October to allow transactions related to earthquake relief.
Now, folks, this is a bit hard. I have here another video. I'm going to show it to you, but I want you to imagine this. Imagine your country has a failing infrastructure because of different reasons, because of the sanctions that the country was already suffering. Imagine that the hospitals are not as well equipped as they should. Imagine the hospitals don't have the capability to take in people. It's not as bad as Cuba, for example, because they still have energy. They still have a couple of infrastructures that can be used by the population. They still have a functioning police, court system, even biased as it may be to the regime. This is not a country that has completely stopped working. And now they are hit with this shit. And you have people scrambling to try and help other people that are dying underneath the ruins. And look, and it's very hard. It's really sad. And this video that I was, let me see. I'm going to show you this video anyway, because I won't be going too much to today, because as you can see, my voice is a bit affected by the heat. I'm sorry, but it is really taking a toll on me. This week I felt ill, and I even pondered taking some time off work, medical, like we call it here, entrada baixa, meaning going to the doctor, asking for this document and staying home for a couple of days. But if you do that, then you get cuts in your pay. You only receive 70% of your pay, and I simply cannot do that. But let's watch this video. I'm going to show it to you anyway, and then perhaps I will look for another thing that I wanted to show you before we go. But let's watch this video.
The confirmed death toll from the catastrophic twin earthquakes in Venezuela has risen to 920, as tens of thousands of residents remain missing across collapsed northern coastal towns. The United Nations Humanitarian Agency estimates that more than 50,000 people are currently unaccounted for after the sudden, shallow 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude tremors struck within less than a minute of each other, destroying entire residential complexes. As time rapidly runs out to recover survivors alive, desperate local volunteers and family members have been forced to dig through the pulverized concrete blocks with their bare hands due to a critical scarcity of state-deployed heavy machinery. The unfolding tragedy has also claimed the lives of numerous foreign nationals, as consular updates have confirmed the deaths of 15 Portuguese citizens, 5 Spaniards, 7 Chinese nationals and 2 Brazilians, while European diplomatic missions report that over 200 Spanish and Portuguese citizens remain completely unaccounted for. The unfolding humanitarian tragedy has quickly triggered severe political backlash for interim President Delcy Rodriguez, who took office just 6 months ago following a fragile political transition. International rescue operations are now scrambling to fill the domestic operational void with specialized search and rescue teams from 17 different nations already mobilizing on the ground.
Now, to tell you the truth, I think they are being a bit too harsh on the now acting president, on Delcy Rodriguez, because she really does not have that much of a grip over things. The services, the police, the army, the firefighters, the hospitals, as I was telling you before I showed you this, they were already really, but I mean, they were already really undermined by the sanctions. It became so difficult that the numbers of Venezuelan descendants, meaning people that might that have some Portuguese blood in them, maybe a Portuguese spouse, a Portuguese grandfather, whatever, literally thousands of those people. I don't want to exaggerate, but I think the numbers were over 5,000 people. Okay, they all applied to come to Portugal, and you see them today. You see them everywhere. You won't notice them because I'm not being a racist, but this is the truth. Most of them are white, as me. Okay, they are white people, normal Caucasian, Spanish or Portuguese people that you would not notice in the street walking. If you saw me walking and you saw one of those persons walking, okay, you would not know they are Venezuelans until they start to speak. And you have a lot of people here. You have doctors. In my local health center, there are three doctors, and 2 are Venezuelans and 1 is a Cuban. The other doctors and nurses are Portuguese. But a lot of these people, all the people that could leave the country or that wanted to leave the country, they left. So this means that you have fewer doctors and nurses inside of the country. So the services, look, I'll tell you this, I don't know how they are reacting this way. And we can all say thank you to Mr. Trump and his shenanigans, because if he had been quiet in his little corner of the world, and I'm not saying Maduro is a good person, we all know he is not a good person, but if the United States would meddle more into their own business and take care of their own citizens instead of starting useless, stupid wars, this would not happen. The earthquake would still happen, but at least the country would be a bit more ready to deal with it, because no one is ready to deal with such a thing. Excuse me. But, folks, let's hope for the best. Let's hope that they are able to save as many people as possible from the wreckage. But the truth is, as time goes by, all those that are counted as missing, they are dead. Okay, this is the sad truth. But look, one can only hope. Now, folks, now I'm going to talk with you about something that has conveniently, apparently, been ignored in a lot of media. I didn't see much of it in UK media, almost anything at all. I think I saw it in BBC, and I certainly did not see it in American news. But it was, however, highly publicized here in Europe, in the EU. It was very publicized here, where the South Koreans are building battery plants. They are also building some weapons and ammunition factories. I believe in Slovakia or in Czechia, in the Czech Republic. And I think it's a very important way to show you what are the American allies doing to get rid of the United States. If you don't know this, South Korea is currently the industrial engine of the American arms weapons industrial complex. American ships are repaired in South Korea. A lot of the components for American Navy and their airplanes, like from Boeing and Lockheed and all of that, they all come from South Korea, and they are made by South Korean engineers. And this is what South Korea and the EU are doing. Let's watch this video.
It is my honor, together with my friend Antonio, to welcome you to Brussels for the 11th EU-Korean Summit. Europe and the Republic of Korea share a decades-old bond, and that bond is growing stronger on all levels. For example, today young Europeans are filling entire arenas to see BTS and Blackpink perform. But there are also millions of Koreans that watch their compatriots playing for European football clubs. And this mutual appreciation is also manifestly clear in our political and economic partnership. Indeed, 15 years ago, our predecessors met here in Brussels. The free trade agreement they signed has more than doubled our trade, and the strategic partnership they concluded has expanded our cooperation. So today we work on security, on crisis management, maritime cooperation, science, technology, innovation, trade, and much, much more. And our security is more interconnected than ever. The fact that North Korean soldiers are fighting alongside Russian soldiers in Ukraine serves as a strong reminder of this. From day one on, Korea has condemned Russia's illegal war of aggression against Ukraine, and your country has given vital support to our Ukrainian friends in their fight for liberation. For this, we are very, very thankful. Korea was among the first Indo-Pacific partners with whom we concluded a security and defense partnership agreement, and it has brought strong momentum to our cooperation. Today, we decided to start negotiations on a security of information agreement. These are just some of the many reasons why I say with confidence that Korea is one of Europe's closest partners in the Indo-Pacific region and on the global stage. And I'm deeply convinced that the best is yet to come. Because in today's uncertain world, stable, and trusted partnerships like ours are more precious than ever. So today we have taken ambitious steps to advance our relationship even further. First, on trade, we will build on our successful partnership with a digital trade agreement. It will consolidate our trade cooperation in the digital sphere. It will ensure safe and reliable data flow. It will boost e-commerce, and it will harmonize our consumer protection standards. We also decided to deepen cooperation on economic security. This will help us to strengthen our resilience against external shocks and tackle strategic vulnerabilities. We will notably work together in secure access to critical raw materials and protect our sensitive technologies. Second, we launched a new competitiveness partnership. This will strengthen our industrial and technological edge. It will attract investment, and it will accelerate the clean and digital transitions on both sides. To drive this agenda forward, we will establish a high-level economic dialogue. This will bring together our work on trade, on investment, on economic security, and on industrial policy. So these efforts reinforce one another and deliver tangible results and prosperity for our people and our businesses. The third point I want to mention is that we want to expand our cooperation on clean energy production. This is not only a climate imperative, it is a strategic one. We see strong potential in the areas of hydrogen and offshore wind, and there's great potential to develop business partnerships in the nuclear energy space, including small modular reactors. We discussed that intensively today. This will help strengthen our energy security at a critical time and enhance our competitiveness over the long term. Here, too, I welcome that we launch a dedicated high-level energy dialogue. And finally, let me turn to the crown jewel that is research and innovation. Europe and Korea are working together to shape the technologies of tomorrow. On AI, we are already cooperating very closely on safety, on governance, on trusted innovation. And as a global leader on semiconductors, Korea is a key partner for the European Union. Building on these strengths, we will deepen our cooperation across research and innovation and across the AI stack. Moreover, last year, Korea joined Horizon Europe. We were very happy about that. It's the world's largest and most renowned research and innovation program, and our cooperation has been a great success so far. So today we discussed how to continue this cooperation in the next programming period that starts in 2028. To conclude, dear President Lee, dear Antonio, our 11th EU-Korea summit has been a resounding success. Now we must get to work and ensure that all our promises that we have given to each other in new areas of cooperation deliver the right results for our people and our businesses. Thank you very much.
Now, folks, I have been reading the chat. There's a slight time lapse between when you put in the things in the chat and I read it here. And now I'm going to answer a couple of questions here. Billy, if you don't know this, okay, if you don't know this, the EU and Australia have just signed just a couple of months ago. I would say around January, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, fact check me because I really don't remember when it was. Australia and New Zealand, they are already associative members of the safe mechanism in Europe to rearm, and they also, Australia, has signed trade agreements with Europe to supply us with the rare earths that we need, because Europe also produces some of it. Okay, Sorry. I'm sorry, folks. This is because of the heat. I'm feeling a bit ill. Sorry. Let me just. Okay. Australia is going to be a part of this entire economic, political movement. Because if you don't know this, and if you have not watched the news about it, Australia has been suffering a lot with this shit that has been happening in the Hormuz Straits. They are not happy. The Five Eyes, of which Australia is also part with the USA, it's not working properly. So they have decided, the Australians, they have decided to align with Europe. It align with the EU, even with the UK, okay, with Canada, with South Korea, with New Zealand, with Japan. So we are established, and we even got India into it, because the EU also made a trade agreement with India. So Australia is going to supply the raw materials. This is an example. Imagine this. You have a factory in South Korea. The EU is buying the raw materials from Australia, providing and investing in Australia, and Australia is supplying the raw materials that we need to the factories in South Korea. Then those materials, they are processed and they supply the needs of Europe. And both Europe, South Korea and Australia earn money, jobs, and leverage. Everyone wins something. And it's all independent of the intervention of American weapons company, of American business, of American banks. We simply do not need them, and they have zero leverage on us. And this is the spirit of it. You have to understand this, okay? You have to understand this. Wishigot, I have not forgotten you, okay? I will talk about what you are saying in the chat, because it's very interesting, and it needs me to say something about it, so to speak. This is a strategic project, but I find it funny that almost no one talked about this. And here, Viper Scott is saying right here in the chat, Alistair is saying here, no, it was not in the UK MSN. This news was conveniently ignored. As I said in the beginning, I think I only heard talking about it in BBC, I think. And even so, it was very soft. And this is a way of, like Alistair is also saying here in the chat, this is like a NATO, so to speak. Because no one really wants to get rid of NATO altogether. Because just the name itself, it has some weight. And it's also a way of keeping the United States, I would not say under control, because I think that's impossible, but to keep them in the pack, so to speak. All right, let's be honest, and let's say things as they are. But this is a way to have alternatives if the United States goes ballistic again. So if the United States starts again with their threats to Greenland that still have not ended, I'm also going to talk about that here in this stream, about the threats and all of that. But let's take it step by step. It's been created as an axis. You have the EU, the UK that can get into this. It's in partially in some of the mechanisms, but the UK can perfectly enter in this. All it has to do is to stop cherry picking and just go with the program, because you see, you have other countries that easily negotiated with the EU, so the problem must not be in the EU. If a country like Canada, like Australia, like South Korea, like Japan, like Australia, like New Zealand, are able to negotiate with the EU, If India is able to negotiate with the EU, if Mercosur is able to negotiate with the EU, then a question arises. Then the problem must not be the EU. I'm just going by logic. There must be some problem, and I explained this. We talked about this in the last stream. Because you make a serious proposal to the UK, and the negotiators on the part of the UK, they start to try and cherry pick everything and try to get some kind of advantage. When the truth of the matter is that when you are negotiating something, you are going to make a concession. Europe has allowed Mercosur to export vegetables and fruits and meat to Europe. As long as it's under our regulations, they can do it. And that will put more stress in our own farming business. But we accepted it. We accepted quotas, we accepted all of that. Exactly as we accepted from Australia and from India. We also accepted that instead of investing so much just in Europe, we are going to invest in India, we are going to invest in South America, we are going to invest in Australia, in New Zealand, in South Korea, in Japan. Because this is how you negotiate. A negotiation is not like the orange buffoon talks about. This is not Wall Street, this is not the Wolves of Wall Street. No, these are serious things. Number one, you negotiate because you want to improve the situation of your country, of your own citizens, and you want to have an environment where people, instead of arguing all the time and trying to get over each other, they try to cooperate. I told you this in the early days when Portugal was trying to get into the EU. I don't recall. I think it was. I don't know if his name was Honecker. I don't recall the name of that German diplomat. But he came here, and I will never forget this because he said it in German and it was subtitled, but I understood what he was telling. I saw those news with my grandfather and with my dad, I think. And he said that this: if my neighbor is happy and prosperous, if they produce a lot of things, they can sell me the things that they produce, and they can buy what I produce. Okay. This is a truth, and I'm reading what you guys are saying in the chat, but this is something that UK negotiators don't seem to understand. Things do not work this way. And as Alistair is saying here, again, if you are watching this afterwards, pop up the box with the chat, because these people know what they are talking about. Okay? The UK cherry picking, so they want to go back to what the EU was. When in the EU that will happen, it's a fresh membership, not you'll back again. I talked about this in the last video. Okay, and which is also saying here, you cannot go back to where you were. No, you cannot. The UK can join the EU. Yes, it can. But it will be join, not rejoin. Whatever happened in the past, that is a situation that legally is dead. The UK would not have the same exceptions and concessions and this and that. And if you are negotiating with the EU, you cannot start to cherry pick. You can negotiate things. That is absolutely possible. But you have to negotiate from a perspective that I will give something to get something back. And let me tell you this, who needs to have access to our market? The UK. It's as simple as this. And I'm not going to repeat myself because I already talked about this in the other stream, so I'm not going to subject you to that again. But now let me talk about another thing that Wichi is saying here, which is very important also. The problem is the right, Farage and all. They will moan, they already do. So government has to be sneaky. We should have another vote. As we join, we'll win. I hope Burnham does, meaning is able to change things, but Farage is going to moan that he has no mandate, etc. He's a disruptor and an agitator. Yes, that is all right. But now let me tell you my perspective. If Starmer had been honest day one when he entered into power, not half of the issues that not half of the issues that are happening right now would have happened. The only way Andy Burnham, if he is indeed the successor, I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know if there are going to be snap elections. I have no idea. Okay. If he wants to start things right, he has to be honest. And then he has to go straight to the throat of the demon. First thing, misinformation, and biased media. Don't have that drunk traffic police officer called Ofcom dealing with things. Issue harsh laws. Harsh laws. And I'm not saying to copy our harsh laws. I'm saying adapt them to the British reality. But you need to control media. You need to control what the newspapers are talking about. I'm not saying control free speech, not at all. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying this. If any politician in the United Kingdom wants to make a change, you have to change the system itself. You have to take measures that help people as you do that. It's the only way. It's extremely hard. Okay? It's extremely hard, but you have to do it. The first thing you have to do, in my opinion, is to get a grip on these riots and on all of this shit. And to do so, any government should invest in the prison system, in the justice system. This would be the first thing to do. This happened here in Portugal. Our justice system, that now is facing also a couple of issues, because we are a bit in the Justice Department, we are a bit understaffed. But the first thing you have to do is this: invest in the state. If it's needed to nationalize water companies, nationalize them. Even if further down the road you privatize them again, whatever, no. You issue a law, because you see, a government can issue a law when it's mandated by the state. Let me just read this. The Lib Dems didn't campaign on greater EU cooperation. It seemed an easy vote winner to me. Yes, really, I was surprised too. But getting back to the news. Around here, the law is very simple. Any reporter, as long as they are not breaking the law, they can issue their opinion. I have reporters here in my country that I like to listen to, and there are others that I would not hear even if I had to, because I don't like them, I don't like their positions, I don't like their stance. But there is a common veil of truth to all of this. If I watch the news in that particular channel that I don't like the reporter, I will get the truth. I will get his opinion or her opinion too. But I will get the truth. I will know what happened. They cannot twist the facts like they do in the UK media and even more blatantly in the US media. I have taken a bit of a look on their reporting on the World Cup, and it's a success for them. It's not a success. But FIFA and the Americans, they're still going to get their buck. Because FIFA is earning money with all of the inflation, ticket prices and all of this. And all the kickbacks they are getting too. So they are going to paint this as one big success. What I do know is this. When it was Qatar, okay, I will not say, but airplanes filled with Portuguese fans went to Qatar. That is not happening right now to the United States. And most of us are white. We also have black people here. Of course we have. I have black friends. But they are not going to the United States. In my circle of people that I know, there is not one single person that is going to the US. And one of the things that I don't have in common with a lot of my friends is that I really don't follow football that much. I really don't. No, I have other interests. I like to play football with my friends on the weekend when we get together, and a little more. And my club is Benfica because, well, it was the club that I chose when I was a kid. And I'm also, if you don't know this, I will tell you, I'm boycotting completely the World Cup because it's partially it is partially happening in the United States. I do, however, watch the news about what is happening in the World Cup and what they are doing. But this is it. But going back to the subject, because this is very important. Which you got. The problem in the United Kingdom is this. You need to have stricter media laws. You often talk about in your channel, and if you are listening to me, I'm going to start to put a link to the Witchy Gods channel here in my channel too, because it's important that you also go and watch her perspective, because it's very important. But you often talk about the way girls and women and violence between genders is portrayed in the news. You often talk about that. And to have a media law that would approach these things with some seriousness, like they do here, would really benefit the position that the society itself is taking about these things. To me, but this is because I was raised this way, and our way of seeing all of that, saying about the violence between genders, and I might not agree completely with all positions, but you would see in the news a different approach to this. You would see a different approach of this. You would see news that would call out to these things, because it's absolutely unacceptable. It's unacceptable, for example, like the recent news we were talking about, that a man that is furious for a woman not wanting to be with him, to assassinate that woman. And then you have thank you, Alistair, and you have a lot of news. Thank you, Ichigo. You have a lot of news that instead of criticizing these people, they almost transform it into some kind of a daily event. And you don't see that here. Here, you see the monsters being called out. And monsters need to be called out. Because it's, now I'm going to talk about this because I think I need to talk about this. I was raised in a type of culture in which a man that needs to use violence against a woman is considered weak. Do you understand this? The common comment in when I was growing up is this: he's so weak that he needs to beat up his wife so that she will be with him. And the response to that from my father, that I miss greatly, I miss my dad every day of my life, would be this. And he told me this when I was a kid. It takes more to be a man to have a dick, okay, and to have some beard. There is more to being a man than that. Any man that needs to oppress a woman, you know, to beat up a woman, whatever, to have a woman by his side, he doesn't deserve to have any woman by his side, and he doesn't deserve to be called a man. Do you understand this? I am a man. I am single right now. I have reasons to be single. I'm not going to go into that because that is too personal for me. But I'm a straight man with an unhealthy taste for redheads. You know? But I really have never raised the hand to a woman. I don't even like to speak too harshly to a woman, even when she's not right, because that is a sign of stupidity and weaknesses, and it doesn't solve anything. If a woman doesn't want to be with me, well, so what? She has her reasons, I have mine. Goodbye. This is how you have to deal with these things. You cannot deal with these things with violence, with coercion, with trying to keep women in an economic stranglehold, so that they are like little pets that you need. This is fucking ridiculous. And I know, look, this also comes from my own mother, a very strong woman. She's still with me, thank God. God's up. Odin's beard. Whatever we want to say it. Okay, you understand what I'm trying to say. And I never saw submission in my family. I saw my parents acting as a unit. And my father, we are talking about a man that worked until the day that he died. We are talking about a man that was in a war. We are talking about a man that was special ops, that faced situations in war that were more than brutal, that were inhumane, so much so that he didn't even want to talk about this. So we are not talking about a weak man. We are talking about a very strong person. And we are talking about my mother. And she taught me that a woman is more than an accessory in the life of a man. No. To have a balanced society, you need women and you need men. These are the same people that taught me to respect gay people. These are the same people that taught me to respect transgender people. That already existed when I was a kid. This is nothing new. People are trying to transform this into something that is only happening right now. It's a disease of our times. That's all bullshit. However, we now have the technology to help those people. And they all taught me a basic thing that is respect. And what we are lacking a lot, and this is why you need that media law, You need to impose limits on this shit. You cannot have some idiot in GB News talking about some kind of a gay complot, talking about Zach Polanski in the way that he did. That is disgusting. You cannot allow these things to happen. In the dark mail, right here in the chat, she's saying what I think. I just respect people who aren't twats. This is me. I don't meddle into other people's business, and I refuse to understand this. And I will go, just to make this absolutely clear, here in my culture, a man that is violent to a woman is considered a weakling. That's a weak person. And which you got. This is why I like to listen to you. Because you talk about these things with clarity, sorry. I'm not saying that I agree 100% with you. I'm not going to say that because I would be lying. Because everyone has different perspectives. But you do, however, talk about these things in a way that even a dumb idiot, like one of these violent idiots, can understand. And if they don't want to understand, it's because they are, like Indie Dark Mel here says, twats. And you are right, which you got, to calling out violence against women and girls, because that is simply not acceptable. I never knew how paternalist and stupid a lot of British society was until I started to listen to your streams. I admit it. I didn't know it was that bad. Because around here, I'm not going to say that we don't have twats, like Duck just said. Okay, I'm not saying that. But it's not socially acceptable. Now, if we are, for example, anywhere, and we see a man hitting a woman or some shit like that, you are damn sure that someone is going to kick his ass. Someone is going to step up and tell him to stop. That is not acceptable. And to force women, that is even less acceptable. Rapists don't have a good time in jails around here. Let me just put it this way. Rapists and pedophiles in our prisons are considered the lowest, in the lowest rank of the prison cells. They are trash. And I'm glad that even the people that are in our jails have some dignity to treat those slimes as they deserve to be treated. But let's stop it right here. But I wanted to tell you this, the which he got. I wanted to tell you this because I think it's important to give you some feedback and ask you to please don't stop making your videos. I know I sometimes cannot watch the streams. I know I sometimes cannot comment on everything. But believe me when I tell you that I watch them. Okay? Now, folks, now I'm going to have some water and I'm going to talk a bit about the United States to conclude this stream. I could subject you to a couple of videos. Hello, Casper Northerner. I could subject you to a couple of videos. I could show you a lot. But I decided to just resume things as they are. The United States blew up another ship in the Straits of Hormuz. The peace agreement apparently is blocked again. Now it's open again, and this shit is still continuing. They are still negotiating, and by the end of all this, the thing that is going to happen is that the Americans, they are going to go back to America and continue to do shit somewhere else, perhaps Cuba, who knows. But this is going to end. And this is going to end by a simple reason. This is going to end because in the G7, when Trump was put to sign that agreement in Farsi, which I found was very ironic, in Versailles, in the mirror rooms, Macron, that bloody ironic French guy, man, that guy is terrible. That was the G7 telling Trump, stop this shit. You got to vacate the straits, and we got to have oil flowing back to the world again. You are costing us too much money and too much stress. So, what I'm trying to tell you is this: unless there is some extraordinary event, this is going to have a conclusion. As for what is happening in Lebanon and in Palestine, I have my doubts. Because the Zionists are still killing people everywhere. But I have this feeling that this is going to end one way or another. But this is just a feeling that I have. But let's wait and see. Well, the reflecting pool. Trump tried to treat it as a normal pool. It didn't work because we are talking about an algae that lives in the waters of that region, a swampy region. So what happened was that the reflecting plume turned green again. Then Trump said a couple of leftists had cut off the floor of the reflecting pool, and now he has the National Guard watching over the reflecting pool while they are doing repairs, and that is it. He also demolished the lawn of the White House with his hillbilly bash with the UFC fight and all of that shit, where fighters were even puking and putrid drunk and all of that shit. He had honor guards that usually guard the graves of fallen heroes of the United States military, guarding bloody UFC fighters, which I found was very ironic. He continues to spew out his bullshit in the world. He even starts to talk about the digital taxes to American media in Europe, and Europe doesn't give a fuck about what he's telling. That we are continuing to do our own business. The United Kingdom, as far as I can see, also is doing their own business. They are, in that aspect, they are aligning with Europe. Something that I consider that is very good. It's good for all of us. It's good for the United Kingdom, and it's good for the EU. What else? Oh, he now is talking about communism again. Now the new rhetoric of Trump is that the communists are coming to get you. They want to burn down your churches. After himself attacking the Catholics and refusing the Catholics the right to participate in the Easter's lunch in the White House, saying they are not Christians. Now he's warning the Catholics. Very convenient, since most of the Hispanic population is Catholic, Mexicans and all of that, you know. Now he's saying the communists are coming for you and you got to vote for us, or else they don't like religious people because religious people tank, and all of this shit. This is what has been happening in the United States. What can I tell you, my friends? The only thing I can tell you is this. Sip of water. The only thing I can tell you is this. The world is tired of this shit. And no World Cup is going to save the United States from the backlash that is coming. And I'm not saying the United States is going to crash down. There's going to be this entire fall of the Roman Empire scenario. No, nothing like that. This will be worse. Because this will be a slow fall. Because when the Democrats now recover the House, they will find themselves living in a completely different world. if the United States is able to get rid of Mr. Trump, they will discover that that doesn't matter to the rest of the world, because the people that elected him, the people that supported him, they're still there. And Europe especially is going to remember this. The Gulf allies, they are going to remember this. Everyone is going to remember this. China will remember this. Absolutely everyone in this world will remember this. And having a big army means that you need a big economy. And the American economy is already in trouble. It has not fallen yet, because it would represent a threat to other economies by contamination. But the key issue here is that at least the EU has been doing all that it can to disentangle our economy from the United States. Canada is doing the same thing. Everyone is doing the same thing. And this rhythm of extirpation of the American economy, this is not going to decelerate. They are going to continue to do it. You will see this. Imagine that tomorrow Trump is no longer the president and you have a decent, hardworking, normal Democrat president or whatever. He will get a lot of smiles, a lot of handshakes, a lot of promises, perhaps greater tolerance to some things, but the economic trend, it won't change, because European companies will remember, Canadian companies will remember, and citizens of the world will remember this. Folks, this is all I can tell you right now about the United States. Now, folks, I have been streaming right now for 2 hours and 11 minutes, so I'm going to rest up, going to try to record a couple of videos for you guys. The Witchy got. I'm going to also try to talk a bit about this aspect of what I talked about here in this video, in a separate video, and try to explain this in a more clear way, so that perhaps some young persons, some young guys watch the video, and perhaps by seeing a man telling them this, okay, not a bloody Tate idiot saying this to them, perhaps they will learn something. Because I never believed, how can I say this in English? I don't like to hurt people. And I don't think it's a function I think it's a function of a man to be a part of society, as is of a woman. Don't get me. Don't mistaken me. And I think it's essential for everyone to understand this and to stop with these cultural wars that lead nowhere. There is no such thing as alpha males, alpha women, all of this alpha shit that is going on. There is nothing, that does not exist. That is not the world. That is not society. Each person is different. Each person has a different rhythm. Each person has a different personality. The key word here is respect and civility. But I will talk about this in a separate video. I will make a video so that I can have a bit more time to choose the subjects I'm going to approach and I'm going to make. Now, yes, he did not mail. You know what? When I start to rant in the sometimes I get a bit out of reach, so to speak. Now, folks, I would like to thank you all for attending the stream. each and every one of you that is in the chat, anyone that is lurking. Please be careful with yourselves, with your families, with your pets. This heat is not going to go away. Apparently it will last at least a week more, or half a week or something like that. So it's going to be dangerous, and we just have to get used to it. My friends, I hope you have a great evening, a great weekend, and yes, thank you very much for liking this stream, my friends. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Wichigat. I would like to thank you all for coming, and have a great weekend, okay? Keep fresh, drink plenty of fluids,